Hello everybody and welcome to today's practice. Today we're going to be focusing on a series of exercises to help us develop our external hip rotation, our capacity for that movement. So I think for this practice, grab 2 yoga blocks or a little step stool and then roll out your mat and let's get started. So we'll start in a reclined position today. And in our reclined position, make sure that your spine is nice and comfortable. Your low back should feel like there's a little bit of air underneath there. Like if you took a blow dryer, it would move from one side to the other. You should feel like your spine is nice and long, head long. I'm actually gonna lift my head and pull it back. So I just feel a little bit longer here because it'll be important for me to feel like I have control in my torso. So here I feel like my front ribs are resting. We can even do like a couple of pelvis tilts, forward, backward, and kind of just see if we can land the pelvis at neutral with the sacrum resting on the earth. That's the back of the pelvis. And a little bit of space between the back and the floor, the low back. Starting to deepen the breath. Now get sensitive. See, have you set your legs so that your legs flow from outer hip to outer knee to outer ankle to outer foot with the soles of the feet on the ground. And so if we want to start exploring hip external rotation, we're going to need to hold one element really still while we try to mobilize another element. So for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to try to hold our pelvises really still. And just to give ourselves some feedback and to be able to assess how well we're doing with this, go ahead and take your hands to the front of your pelvis and just apply a little bit of pressure without changing the tilt. So we just want to keep our pelvis nice and stable. And now I'm going to activate through both feet a little bit, like they're pressing down and forward, and see if I can just sense and feel my legs, almost like they're ready for action if I need to recruit them. And now I'm going to start recruiting some mobility in my right hip. So I'm going to start to rotate my right leg out and down without modifying the pelvis. And that's very, very challenging. So it may just be a few inches. And so then I can bring it back up. And I'm trying to stay within the range that I have control of. And I'm going to repeat this, each time trying to go a little bit more slowly. And I'm trying to recruit muscles in my standing leg and my pelvis to help anchor my standing body. And so not only do I feel this in the hip, but I'm starting to feel this in the abdomen as well. I need to keep my breath nice and deep and my face relaxed through this range of motion. So after your next one, come on up through center. We can set up for the other side. So for this side, I need to turn on the engine of both feet so I feel my legs working evenly. Can I feel my legs flow out of my pelvis down to the ankles? And can I get a sense, inner lining of my leg, outer lining of my leg? Can I kind of marry that understanding, that awareness of all of this so I can feel it all evenly? And now let's stabilize through the right leg and the pelvis and begin to open that left knee out to the side, just maybe a couple of inches. And the first one can be, quite sloppy. That's okay. And we'll just start to bring it back through center and take a little series. So repetition is what our tissues need in order to adapt. And so we're really not trying to go for depth here. What we're trying to go for is control. That's the type of adaptation that we want for our tissues. And so the more we can repeat a position with control, I think the better we'll feel in our bodies ultimately. And I'm kind of also taking an inventory because what's happening here is the shoulders want to tense up, the back of the neck wants to tense up. And so I'm not saying like we have to be completely relaxed up there, but to just hold the body actively, muscularly in such a way where we feel strong, but we also feel soft. Okay, the next time you come back through center, let's go ahead and figure 4 that left foot right over the right knee. Flex the toes back and align second toe with center ankle and center knee. And then we're just gonna begin to kind of roll that left knee away from the body and then relax it. And it will just like take up whatever slack it has. So we're adding a contraction here. Contract and open that left knee away from the body. Try to hold your shin in good alignment and then take it back. And just take that a couple of times. It maybe is an inch of movement. It's probably not visible or super visible. And then the next time you go into the contraction, see if you can soften just a little bit. So like find the halfway point between the contraction and the relaxation. So now we're in this nice mid-range where the hip still feels turned on. We're gonna see, can I keep the arrangement of my legs and simply lift the right leg off the floor and draw the system of the legs toward the torso. And I'm gonna see here, I might even hold my pelvis for support, but I'm gonna start doing that in and out, up and down. The next time I come up, maybe it feels okay to hold there, just using the muscles for support. You can always add more support here by grabbing around with your arms. We're just gonna keep it nice and loaded today. Actively push that left leg away from you while keeping that arrangement of the left shin bone. So all of that good alignment that we built. And as you feel ready, go ahead, lower the right foot to the ground, the left foot to the ground. Anything that feels nice is good with me. And then we'll trade our sides. So figure 4 your right foot over your left knee, flex the toes back, set it so second toe, center ankle, center knee are aligned, or basically what I'm saying is anatomical neutral in the lower leg bone, so that we know now that the only rotation happening is at the hip. And now, keeping that arrangement of the shin, start to contract and open the right leg away from you a little bit and draw it in. And as you repeat, aim to get more sensitive and more specific so that the pelvis stays very still and the left leg stays very still through the entire chain of movement. And as you feel ready, find that kind of halfway mark where the hip is still turned on, but it's not to its full, room. And then can I pick the left foot off the ground and draw the system of the legs toward the body? And I'm gonna try again to keep the pelvis as still as possible. Of course, there will be some borrowing there, some compensation, but I'm gonna start to take the system of the legs up and down. Next time we take them up, we can hold and then actively contract, draw your right knee away from your body. Good job. As you're ready for it, maybe draw both legs into the chest there, roll around a little bit, whatever feels good. You can roll around in your legs or in your back. And we'll come up to a seated position, so however you want to do that is fine. You can roll over, you can grab behind your legs, kind of turn on the whole body and do a soft rock up to a seat. And from here, we'll meet in just a comfortable Dandasana. So that's gonna be the legs straight out in front of us. And so this, as we know, is 90 degrees of hip flexion. So quite a lot. And so if you feel like your hips are resisting and your low back is kind of going like this, I invite you to take a bend into your knees, so get a little bit more slack in your hamstrings, maybe even widen the feet a little bit, so that you can get nice and lifted here. So we want to feel like we're up on the sitting bones all the way up. And again, the more we can feel arranged in this capacity, in this variation, I think the more we'll get out of the mobile part of it. So if we're gonna explore just external rotation, I need to get my legs neutrally set here. So for most of us, that's kneecaps up, toes straight up to the sky. And from here, I'm gonna see how much can I roll that right leg open. Look at the leg here, like look at what direction your toes are pointing, because when's the last time you did your horse pose, for example? Those toes should be pointing out in roughly the same direction in that horse pose. So coming all the way back through center, let's open it a few times. And we know that in order for this to be honest hip external rotation, we have to keep everything else still. We have to recruit just the head of the thigh bone rotating in the hip socket. Come back to center, do your other side, left side. So pause on that first one, keep the contraction, hold it. That's time under tension, that's good. Keep yourself nice and lifted in your upper body, and then roll it back to center. And a few times. I'm noticing here that this left one seems to have a little bit more natural mobility than the right. Very normal for the hips to be different one to the next. And then coming back through center, go ahead, tuck your hands behind your knees, help your hinge close as you draw the feet in. Maybe just butterfly the knees a little bit here. So we'll start to work now in our 90-90 position. So for this one, we can take, let's maybe start with the right foot forward. And with the right foot forward, I'm gonna face the top of the mat, and I'm gonna try to get my legs to lay out 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And so the arrangement of this is not super specific. If this is feeling like you're getting a pinch, particularly maybe in this back hip, bring the heel closer. You can do that with either foot. Now, what we're gonna try to do here is we're gonna try to work with this front leg, because you can see now your front leg's in external rotation, and actually this back leg is in internal rotation, which we'll focus on next week. So from here, the first thing I wanna do is see if I can just arrange myself. You know, the pelvis doesn't have to go down completely. That back hip might lift a little bit, that's okay. I wanna see like which direction are my hip bones pointing in? Can I get my armpits to point the same way so that now I know I'm nice and lifted? And now let's work with this front leg, the one in external rotation. So can we lean forward over the front leg any amount? Any amount is good. And from here, I'm gonna try to arrange that right leg again. Second toe, center ankle, center knee, just so I know that that shin bone is nice and neutral. And from here, I'm gonna reach my right hand long, press the ground down and away from me. Can I pick my left arm up and set my left elbow towards my right ankle right there? Lay the forearm across the leg. So now I have this shelf and I can push down into it. And so if the answer is no for you and you're a little bit more lifted, a hand will be fine. I would take it more to like the middle of a bone if you have a hand rather than like a joint. So wherever we have here, I'm gonna see first, can I use my arm to help get a passive end range? So I'm just gonna use my arm to push my leg open, paying special attention that I want to take this motion from the hip and not necessarily rotation in the knee. Not that rotation in the knee is inherently bad, it's designed to rotate, but for the purposes of external hip rotation, that's what I want to feel. And now I'm gonna see, can I resist this? So can I contract my leg into my hand? It's a very small kind of light contraction. Like every time someone tells me contract, I go like full force right away. So what I'm suggesting is go like soft force, medium force right away, and contract your leg up into your arm and press your arm down into your leg. And just do that a couple of times and hold a contraction here. We wanna hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now let the contraction go. Use your arm, just give in with that arm and allow the arm to help the leg into a passive end range. Okay, so I'm gonna walk myself up here a little bit. Now I'm gonna play with my back leg. So find a position for your torso that feels manageable, whether that's in front of you, right above the pelvis, even behind you a little bit. See where you want your arms. You know, your arms can be on either side of one leg. I think that's what I'll take. So I want to get myself nice and lifted in the torso, and I'm going to play around with here, again, just rotation of this back hip. The back hip's an internal rotation, but what if I wanted to lift my knee and move it towards external rotation? Again, right now without moving my pelvis. And then lower it down. And lift, and lower it down. And so this is like inches potentially, centimeters potentially. Potentially it's just an effort, but it's not visual quite yet, and that's okay. The contraction, the muscle contraction is the important element. Our muscles need to contract if we want them to adapt. So all we're asking is muscle contraction. Now I'm gonna lean back here a little bit. I'm gonna start this motion. I'm gonna see, can I complete it and lift the leg up into external rotation and bring the pelvis in center between the legs. So here we are more in this position. So the heels are dug down, the legs are both externally rotated, the hands are supporting behind. We can use the hands to press ourselves up, or we can go handless. I'll just build a little fist variation. And with the arms on the inside of the legs, we're gonna push into the legs and have the legs resist. So we're gonna get the legs to contract. And so keep holding this. Hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Release the arms. Now let's see, can I rotate to my 90-90 on my other side? Whew. So I find a leg variation that can work for me. It's sort of like a pinwheel type of situation called 90-90 because that's sort of the goal that we're getting to. Again, one of the hips can be really lifted. That can be quite normal. I'm just trying to find a place, okay, that feels pretty good. Okay. So working with the front leg first in the external rotation, I'm gonna see, can I lean forward any amount over that front leg? Fixing the lower leg in neutral. I'm gonna now reach forward with my left arm, line my right arm across the left leg with the elbow near the ankle joint, and just take this time to allow my arm to take the leg into more passive rotation. Deepening the breath. And now we can start to resist this. So start to contract your left leg into your right arm. Use your right arm to press against it. We'll hold here for a little bit. The reason why we do this is because when we contract, it sends neurological response to relax the muscle. And so often when you contract and then you relax, you can relax a little bit deeper. So see if that's true now. Now relax. Use your arm to weight the leg down and see, do you have a little bit more slack? That's what that does. And so you can go in and out of these contractions basically to find new end ranges in a moment. Now those end ranges aren't going to stick day to day, but if you do them day to day, week to week, they may stick on a longer term scale. Okay, let's see now. We're gonna walk ourselves up. We're gonna temporarily take our attention away from this front leg. We're gonna focus on the back leg. So have your hands wherever they're useful, and we're gonna keep the back foot on the ground as we start to rotate the knee open, trying again not to really move the pelvis. So if your pelvis needs to shift just to get into a position where you can work with it, do that. But then try to hold the pelvis still and just explore what that back leg will give you. So very important for us to develop controlled movement. The next time we do this, we're gonna now start to rotate the pelvis open as well. So we're coming back to that middle position. See how you feel here. Again, you can lean back or you can take your little fisted variation, arms to the inside of the legs. You gotta get yourself nice and lifted. And now we contract arms to legs and legs to arms and hold. Awesome job. Let's see, can we rotate towards that front leg? And we're just gonna see how we can kind of windshield wiper back and forth. So feel free to use your arms, but we're gonna floss out these sweet little hips by coming up and over to the other side. And there will be kind of the tendency to kind of scooch forward on this, so just bear that in mind. You may move. And when you come over to the left side, the next time, that's the last one. So let's come back to center, draw the legs together. And then we will move on to our next exercise, which will involve the 2 blocks or the footstool. So now that how do your hips feel, by the way? I'm gonna stack the 2 blocks on the lowest height. And it's here that I'll take a seat and come into my version of a squat pose. So taking the feet maybe back so that the knees are driving forward over the ankles. I have a good amount of dorsiflexion here. We've worked on that before with the ankles. And then feeling that the sitting bones ground, lifting all the way up here. Okay. So this is a supported squat position. We may play around with another version of this in a later class where we take the support away. But it's here I want to see again, what is my external hip rotation? So I'm just going to kind of take my hands up right now while I feel what's useful. I'm going to try to feel the whole body, feel the form of the torso so that I'm still involved as a full body, even though I'm just working on one piece. And from here, we're gonna see, can I open that right knee any amount without disturbing the rest of the body? And then can I bring it back? And opening it out and bringing it back. And taking this a few more times. Really looking for controlled movement. And then the next time we take it out, let's hold, let's contract. Let's lean the elbows down, take the right hand to the right leg. And again, without moving the pelvis or really the rest of the body, we're trying to make this happen in the rotation of the pelvis. Can I get myself a little bit more end range there? Can I press on it a little bit? And then, can I resist it? Can I take my arm to the inside and can I use my leg to press into my arm? Good, and then coming back through center, bring that leg back in where we can utilize it for the other side. So you can always take a break, you can get up, you can stretch your legs, whatever feels good. From here, we'll begin to work with the left side. And so I know I've gone too far when other parts of my body start to kind of buckle. And I know I'm on the right track when I can really feel contractions happening. It doesn't feel like it's being generated by momentum. It feels like movement is being generated by muscles contracting and moving bones. That's what I'm looking for. I predict all around good feeling hip vibes after this. Okay, the next time you go out, hold. I'm gonna take a little fold down to the right leg just so I can now pay attention to my left leg. That's externally rotating, okay? First, we're gonna take the passive range. Just helping guide it open a little bit more. And then we can add that contraction. So if I take my arm to the inside, that's gonna add a load. Now I need to resist against that load. Great job. Okay, I have one more exercise for us if you're willing, and this one will end in a nice standing position because then we'll be ready to walk around and use our new hips and see how they feel. So if you're ready, we'll come into a standing position. I'm going to take the feet together so that they're more centered underneath the frame of the body. And I recommend, if you have some balance, you're newer to balance or balance is pretty challenging for you, go to a countertop, a wall, a chair, something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll meet in a one-legged standing position, where the first job is just to get nice and bouncy in the standing leg and keep that bounce going outer hip, outer knee, outer foot. So there's no swaying or variation there. Then I try to come up so that that leg is nice and supportive. I try to make sure that my pelvis is neutral, my tailbone's not scooping under. My low back is moving forward, my belly's moving back. And now, here it is. Can I keep my hands on my pelvis and start to roll that right leg open and close it in? And roll and close. 3 more. After your last one, go ahead, shake it out, take that leg down. Anything that feels good. Reassess, get yourself nice and easy. And we'll take the other side. So taking your left leg up, getting nice and bouncy. Setting up that alignment so outer hip flows, outer knee, outer foot. Taking the pelvis into neutral. Lifting all the way up. And then again here, can I just work on that hip rotation? This is where something like a tool like a mirror might be very useful for proprioception, because balance is one of those areas where it's hard to know for certain, am I doing what I think I'm doing? Sometimes that feedback will be really good. I'll get the feedback from watching this later. Okay, as you're feeling ready, go ahead, release, relax that down, roll out through your feet. You made it through your external rotation practice. I'll meet you right back here next week for our internal rotation practice. And I also want to mention, if you want to get your hands on my resources for this module, because I have tons more exercises, philosophy of movement, where all of this is kind of based from. If you want access to my resources, then join us on our Patreon. I have a link down in the description. That's where we're hanging out, and you can support us for a minimum $1 a month. So thanks so much for joining, everyone, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.